Now, here's the hosts of Top Story, Kelly Klass and Jill Skeen.
Actually, literally, I do not have a $100 bill in my pocket right now.
The question is, have you ever had a $100 bill in your pocket?
Probably once or twice on rare occasions, but it's
Tom
not
will
a common thing.
Tom will carry big bills like that, I know. And I'm like, amazing how fast Friday came, especially when I had Monday and Tuesday off.
I know.
This week just flew by.
Yeah, no kidding, Jill.
I know, Cal.
It was a long, drawn-out week for me, though.
Was it?
Friday is about 4 days late again. So, at any rate, welcome to Top Story, 736-0300, always the number to call. Coming up, we have Ella Donahue with a CSI update. We have Key Lewis, a comedian at the Canyon Crest Dining and Event Center this weekend. I believe that's tonight.
I believe it is, Cal.
Then we have Twin Falls County Clerk Kristina Glasscock. She'll be with us for, I guess, about as long as we need her, I guess.
Yeah.
Lots to talk about. The gay marriage licensing issue, the voting coming up, all kinds of information there.
Yeah, let's see how many forms of ID you do need, if you have to draw blood, if you have to, whatever you have to do to vote
Donate
this year.
Donate your firstborn.
I know. I know. Can Gracie vote? These are questions people need to know.
Absolutely. Well, if Gracie can vote, then by golly, so can Mabel and Moby. So we got you outnumbered. You better watch it.
Then voter fraud has taken place. Finally. Anyway.
And we got lots of other stuff to talk about, too. We got the Ebola crisis thing still going on. I don't know. We got an interesting story today in the Times News.
Yeah?
Pursuing the issue on the payoff of the former coach.
Which coach are you speaking of, Kelly?
What is his?
Coach Cox, the basketball
I know his
coach.
last name. What's his first name?
Jeremy. We had him on the show when he first got here, remember?
I know, yes, I know.
He was a very nice man.
But I am getting to be an old individual now, and my memory banks are not as... My memory banks are not as...
I knew you were going there. This is the true reason this is why you're retiring. No one knows you have Alzheimer's. Yeah. Breaking news. I'm just kidding. Yeah, this was quite interesting. This has been going on a while. They paid him out in March 17th, but no one really found out till, August? Is that when this was reported?
Yeah, it was later on.
August, and some people didn't even know he had left. He was only here 9 months. He resigned. And somehow CSI paid him $146,607.72 taxpayer money. And in this article, they're saying it was, I don't know, a preemptive move so he doesn't sue the college.
Preempt any possible litigation. And they even, the attorneys in this article in the Times News this morning admitted that there was no sign of any litigation. They just did it as kind of a just-in-case type thing, so he couldn't come back and do anything.
So my question is, what were they thinking he would come back for? What were they thinking happened here? What did they do? What didn't they do? Why would you have to pay someone of taxpayer dollars over $146,000 just so he might not sue? I've never heard of that strategy before, and
I haven't either, really.
I've done legal work for 18 years.
I would really like to get in on one of these deals. Sign a 2-year contract, quit after 9 months, and
there's nothing.
You can go ahead and pay me the whole contract because I might. Excuse me, I might sue. He didn't even say that. Apparently, there was no indication that
if there is, they aren't talking, and that, again, that's the problem. Why isn't CSI talking? Of course, President Fox can't be reached, and no one is talking about this, and it was the Times News who came up with this because of the public information request. Yeah. But I just think it's outrageous. And just to say we live in a litigious society, okay, yeah, anyone can sue for anything, but if you have no merit to your case, who cares? If CSI have their policies and practices and due process in place, no one would have to sue. So, what's going on here? Why would you just pay someone this amount of money? And I love how they said that the board didn't vote on this. It was just Jeff. But do you have to vote on it? Did they discuss it? Are they aware? How do you not be aware that you're going to pay out $146,000 to a coach who resigned, and in his contract, when you resign, you don't get paid for your full amount of the contract?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is really odd,
Here's
weird,
the
and
problem.
irresponsible to the taxpayers.
Here's the bottom line on this deal. Nobody apparently really knows for sure, other than the administration and perhaps the board, of what really went on, what really happened. And the questions that you bring up are totally justified. And when they remain quiet about things like this, then that looks suspicious to the general public. It's just common human nature to have something like this look suspicious. And I don't know why you would want to invite that by no comment, no comment, no comment. That is, especially when you're running an organization. We have an organization that's taxpayer supported.
Right.
You bring this on yourselves,
right.
This questioning and stuff, and you think by keeping your mouth shut it's going to eliminate any issues. It's not. It's just going to make them worse. The pimple is going to fester until it pops, and then there's going to be crap all over the place.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry I'm so graphic, but that's the way it works. And I'm surprised that they continue to, no comment. Oh, ask human resources. Oh,
the guy wasn't even here at the time.
It's ridiculous.
What does this
ridiculous.
Poor Eric Nielsen know? He doesn't know. But this is in addition to, the sexual assault allegation that was not investigated properly. Dr. Edith Santo being terminated or whatever, who has a complaint against them because of, and if anyone hasn't read that complaint, go online to the Times News, read it. We should all be outraged is what's happening. The fact that embezzlement, they just had embezzlement that's been going on. Mm-hmm. That was, we haven't heard anything on that yet either. Yeah. This is one thing after the other. I'm going to say
something about that too.
Please.
The name has not been released, but everybody knows who it is.
Yeah.
So.
And is that person in jail? I don't think so. Okay. I'm sorry. I think there's a lot to question here. Is this curious to anyone else?
If someone over the years embezzled taxpayer money.
Yeah.
I mean.
Why are they not in jail?
See, that's just one more thing. It's just one more. Everything that's going on may be up to snuff, but when nobody knows and nobody's talking, it breeds suspicion, and that's worse than the truth.
What's the why?
Because we're coming to all kinds of conclusions out here from a perspective of ignorance, and we could all be wrong, but nobody is doing anything to set it right.
If you're wrong, why aren't they? And just to say we paid it, just to say they paid it to prevent a lawsuit. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
who does that? I understand when you settle, so you don't have to go to trial, but just to go, he resigned, so we'll just pay out his full contract.
736-0300, top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly, Jill. How are you guys this morning?
We're great. How are you?
Good. Well, if we know who the embezzler is, they will probably run for public office soon. That's the next step.
That could be. That could be.
And guess what? They'd be elected.
Yeah.
Well, they would be a shoo-in because they have experience.
Yeah.
They have experience stealing from the public, so that would be the
to deal with the numbers. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, how does this make you feel? What do you think's happening here?
I think it's what happens with any large organization that has trust and prestige from the public. Human nature creeps in if there's not stringent oversight. And it's. People get used to being a big name in a small pond, and they kind of get to where I'm over from the east half of the state, but I just live here, and I guess Madison County's got a prosecutor up by Rexburg. They've got a prosecutor that just went bananas, and he's used to. I think it's the same thing. People get used to being a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah,
and there's no oversight. Their people at college respect them, or they're a big name at the college, and they live in that little world and get used to that, and somehow they buy their own hype at some point.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your input.
Thank you.
It's unfortunate, and still, and I know that CSI is a great institution. There's many great teachers there, and it's good for the Magic Valley, and this is kind of dark spot in its history and all the stuff that seems to be multiplying here. All of a sudden, there's just all of these issues that have come up. We've got the Edit Santo deal. We've got this deal with the coach. We had the deal with the rape. All
highlighted
of a sudden,
on ESPN.
All of a sudden, it just seems like there's all of these things, and so maybe the thinking is, well, we're just not going to talk about this because we just want it to blow away because we've had enough bad news lately. Well, that doesn't make it go away.
Well, we can cover it all up.
That just makes it worse.
We can cover it all up.
Yeah,
we aren't going to investigate a threatening email to their 17-year CSI employee, Dr. Santo. Oh, we won't investigate it. Someone who actually, impersonated Dr. Jerry Beck, they're not even going to look into it. I am sorry. What is going on? What is going on?
Yeah, I don't know.
And there's an election coming up, people. You can make a choice.
There you go. There's elections
coming up, and I just think this is outrageous. Let's just pay them $146,000 taxpayer money because,
Well, like I say, I'd like to have a deal like that. Now,
I know.
My agreement. Now, I am retiring at the end of the year, and my agreement here, it's kind
of
quit
now, and I'm sure they'll pay you through the end of the year. What are we thinking? Why do you have to come in every day, Kelly? What's the matter with you?
I can guarantee you it's not going to be that much.
Really? I can guarantee you it will not happen.
If they pay, I can too, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about?
And even if it was for over the next 10 years, it still wouldn't be that much.
It's not happening. It's not happening.
So I don't know. It's unfortunate. This just needs to be brought into the open. You just need to say, look, here's what happened, and I know. What's this deal with confidentiality agreements? Is that possible with taxpayer money?
I don't know.
See, there are so many things here that I don't know what can happen.
Apparently, the Times News with public information requests, and kudos to them for following up on the information.
Great job.
We were just talking about this the other day. Like, well, whatever happened to that?
Yeah.
You hear it, goes out of the news. Well, kudos to the Times News for following up and keeping people informed.
Tell you what, we have maybe poor timing. We have Ella Donahue with a CSI update coming up next right here on Top Story. There's a lot of good things going on at CSI, and we're going to find out about those next right here on Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Welcome back. You've heard us talking about the low and honey loader. Well, we're talking about it again today, and you need to go to hold of Pat Hartzell. He's the guy who can set it up so you can see one of these in operation. If you have the big feedlot or dairy operation, something with a lot of animals, and there are manure issues, the low and honey loader is the solution. Give him a call at 280-1167, and he can set you up so you can see one in operation before you decide to buy. And then if you decide to buy, he will just look into his little briefcase there and pull out a contract, and it'll be a done deal right there. The same day service, huh?
That's it.
Doesn't get any better than that. Pat Hartzell with Stanley and Company. His number is 280-1167, and you can tell him that we told you to call.
That's right.
We have Ella Donahue with us this morning with a CSI update. Good morning, Ella.
Welcome back.
Nice to have you here.
Good to be here.
So what's going on at CSI?
Well, you just have 2 more chances to see Dracula. It happens tonight and tomorrow at 7:30 each evening. Admission is $8 for adults and $6 for students, but children...
and seniors, too.
Yes. But children 10 and younger should probably not go. It is very kind
of
scary.
Graphic.
It's scary.
Have you seen it?
Yes, I liked it. I liked it a lot. It was one of the...
I want to bite your neck.
Did they have blood and stuff like that?
They did. They had this bag, and they had, like, the blood and stuff, and the 3 vixens or whatever were, like, trying to eat and stuff like that, and then there was blood getting all over the table and all over their faces.
Oh, wow. So take your lunch while you're watching it. Huh?
Yeah.
Well, that sounds good. Okay, not recommended for kids 10 and 9.
There are people who love that kind of stuff.
I know. Well, it's getting to be Halloween.
That's
a little crazy. All right, what else is going on?
We have the grand opening of the Applied Technology Center next Tuesday from 3 to 6 p.m. This building is where our environmental technology, food processing, wind energy, drafting, and heating and air conditioning programs are now. And it's located on the north side of campus, right along North College Road, and there will be free tours and refreshments.
Nice.
Applied technology. So what does that mean?
Like the wind energy, pretty much, like they had a different area in town.
Alternative energies, Kelly.
Yeah,
Have you heard of that?
Yeah. Well, I thought this was an
wind,
additional one, but that's the building where all these are.
Mm-hmm.
I get it
Food
now.
processing, drafting, heating, air conditioning.
So future stuff, futuristic, healthy, good
I
things.
think that's great because
I know.
really not everybody is cut out to be academia or whatever,
I am a academia.
Some people are hands-on, and this kind of stuff fits that bill. I mean, we need the people who do this stuff.
All righty then.
So very good. Okay, next.
Wait, and that was next Tuesday. Do you have a date on that? What day is that? This
Next
Tuesday coming up?
No, it'll be next Tuesday, like whatever next Tuesday.
Next
is.
week. The one
yes,
next
I
week.
believe so. Yes.
This is Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday,
Some
Tuesday.
some people
Tuesday.
say this Tuesday, and then some people say the next Tuesday. So.
I know those people are wrong.
The closest
you.
Tuesday coming
Yes.
up.
Thank you.
Closest one.
Okay.
That's
all right.
That's next Tuesday.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Anyway, you got date night at the CSI Corn Maze.
Yes, take your honey down for some fun. $10 buys admissions for you and her, and it also gets a cheeseburger, a drink, and a candy bar for each of you. The maze is open from 5 to 10 every night through Halloween.
Or
Now,
maybe
does
you
this
want to
mean
lose your dates. I had a few of those. It's like, I know, you start and I'll start a few minutes later, and let's hope I never find you again.
Oh, I like to go in sooner and then scare my dates.
Okay.
I see. Oh, so you're really nice. Okay.
So how's it been going? Have a lot of people been going?
I'm not sure. I haven't been there yet, but I was
Aw.
going to go this weekend, but then I decided that I was going to go to Mackey. And last weekend, actually, I did homework every day from 9 o'clock in the morning till midnight at night. So that was my weekend. That was my 3-day weekend last weekend. I just did homework.
Okay, so in the future, when
you
you
are in
answer
college.
that question, all you have to say is, "Oh, absolutely, it's popular. Everybody's going."
Everyone's going to love it.
See there? Yeah. There you
And
go.
it's through the end of the month, right?
Yes, all the way through Halloween. It'll be open on the night of Halloween.
Oh.
I've never gone. I wonder if I should go.
I think
I
that's
think
the
you
night I
should
want to
go.
go is like Halloween.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Be dressed up.
That's the
Going
night.
through the maze.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, what else we got?
There's going to be a partial eclipse of the sun next Thursday afternoon.
That's right.
If the sky is clear, of course. And then the Harriet Center will be open, and it's free and it's safe for your viewing. And then it's also going to be selling goggles for just $2 a pair that you can look at the sun safely. The eclipse starts at 2:30 and covers 49% of the moon at 4:20 p.m. that day.
And also, you need the goggles because you could get cataracts later on
Yeah.
in life, according to Chris Anderson.
That's right. If you use a welding helmet,
That will not work.
Those don't block all of the light waves that they are supposed to.
And if you look directly into the sun, the UV is
yeah.
going to affect your eyes, and not now, but later.
Yeah.
He says you will have cataracts.
Yeah, that's a bad thing to do.
$2. Buy
I-
a pair of goggles.
I see people weld sometimes without welding goggles, and I'm thinking,
please.
you are an idiot.
And when that little thing spark goes into your eyeball.
Well, even just the light. From it.
yes.
I mean, but
My
anyway,
dad did
we
that.
digress.
But we digress.
Yes.
Ella.
My dad did that.
Keep studying.
Yeah, I got that.
What
I'm
happened to
good.
his eyesight?
He could still see, but I mean, it was pretty bad. He had to stay in the house for like ever and try to it was all like red, and it was not cool.
I used welding goggles instead of a helmet one time, and it
Kelly.
looked like I had been out in the sun for like 3 days straight.
Kelly.
Ella, thank you very much.
Ella, have a
Appreciate
great
you coming in.
weekend.
Thank you,
Stop
thank you.
studying so much. No, actually, keep studying.
Oh, I know.
We've got
studying.
Key Lewis, comedian at Canyon Crest Dining and Event Center, up next here on Top Story. 7360300 is always the number to call here on this Friday. Looking forward to the weekend. And every once in a while, we like to inject a little comedy into the show here.
Because we haven't thus far.
So we let Jill talk about
All
her
right.
life.
Oh, yeah, nice. It is a little comedic
Yes,
at
it
times.
is. Jill needs to write a book called
I
The
do.
Disastrous Life of Jill
Stop.
Scheme.
This stuff happens to everyone.
But we have a real comedian with us right now, Key Lewis, and he's going to be at the Canyon Crest Dining and Event Center. Good morning, Key.
Good morning.
beautiful
Welcome.
people. This is 1310 KLIX.
Yeah, there you go.
That's a great name.
Isn't
You
it,
guys
though?
look good this morning because it's early.
Yeah.
And
it's early.
You guys, the energy is just unbelievable in the room right now. I can't take it. Stop it.
They have to open the door and throw a bucket of water
Yeah,
on us every
it's
once in a
out of
while.
control
Just
right
cool
now.
us down a bit.
You guys are killing it. You need to slow it down.
So, Key, have you ever played Twin Falls before?
No.
Okay.
This is my first visit to this wonderful town.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. There's some aromas that pass through that catch you.
Well,
There are a few.
that's money you're smelling.
Is that what that
there.
is? Yeah, I was
That's
saying
what they
that.
keep saying,
Yeah.
and I say I think it smells like something else. But
Yeah, I've never dry heaved this early, and then went back for another whiff just
That's
to
true.
condone it.
Come on now, it's not that bad.
It's not actually. I like it. I'll be honest with you. I would rather smell that than the emissions of 4 million drivers
Oh,
on the
yes.
405. So
No
it's
question.
good. It's good. The biggest thing for me, I come from a little cow town, so to speak, in Sacramento, California, and I love the community of people that build food. And I say build because you're an agricultural kind of
Wow.
based town,
Yeah.
and you feed people, and that's a beautiful thing. And for everybody that's out there that's working right now, I don't want to come do your job, but I love you for doing what you do.
I
Because
know,
I
I
like
know.
corn and taters and whatever other milk, right?
Oh yeah. We're one of
Jerome's
the
a
top
big
milk producers
milk
in the
Milk.
nation.
producer with
I
the
know.
you can tell because you don't get that much fragrance without producing something.
What town near Sacramento?
Actually, my father. He was a little wild, so I lived in all different parts of Sacramento. I initially was
okay.
born in Oak Park, California, and then I moved to Meadowview out in the south side. Then I lived off Mack Road. Then I lived in Rio Linda. Then I lived in Del Paso Heights.
my
and I lived in
goodness.
North
Did you ever hear
Highlands.
of Escalon?
Escalon? And that's a little town.
It's on Highway 99 out of Sacramento.
That's a little cow town.
It is a little cow town.
Yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
wondering because my daughter lived there once upon a time.
Oh, I was
Yeah,
going to
that's
say, you
northern
didn't
California.
visit, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Did you?
Yeah, I
Wow.
was there a couple of times.
You
and
left
it's a nice
Twin?
little town. It's almond groves everywhere.
Oh, nice.
But
yeah.
anyway, we
Yeah.
digress. This is about Key Lewis and not about me.
Yeah,
about you
thank
too.
you.
You're my man.
Thank you. So, Key, what kind of comedy do you do for people who are interested in coming tonight? Because the show's tonight, right?
I'm a mime. I don't talk at all. I just wave my hands and hope that you get what. No, I'm just kidding. I'm a situational comic. I tell stories about the day-to-days, everyday life, things that happen to me, things that I see, observational humor. I love talking about my family, my wife, my coworkers periodically, the things that I do that's dumb, that makes no sense.
Yeah, we do that every day. It's called our show.
That's good. I like that. I think
Called Top Story.
Speak for yourself,
I
Jill.
know, right?
I think some people trip out on my because I am mixed, because I have this thing where I can get away with certain things because of my ethnicity. And when I
right.
say that, nothing profanity or anything like that, but just the conversation. Like
Yeah.
I can be having a conversation and don't tell me I cannot say what I want to say. Like I can be anybody at any given time. Like, you know who you dealing with. Like I'm a killer. Like I can go back and forth and
Right.
I can touch so many different things because culturally, no one's gonna really judge me because, like, what is he? Like, is he
Yeah.
Latino? Is he
Yeah.
black? So it's
See,
like,
Indian,
it's an
who
open,
knows? Yeah.
it's an open deal, and
Yeah.
I love that part of it.
And your act is clean, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you have to. Do people have to worry about a lot
No.
of profanity?
I am a very everybody comes, and when I lived in Salt Lake City and did comedy over there for about 5 years, and I would have 6 or 7 years. You know, they bring the whole
Yeah.
family. It's,
Yeah.
Right.
It's like 13 people.
Right.
Messed up together, and they're all night on the town. And I think I think I'm suggestive in some things because we're adults, and just like when you watch PG or G shows
Yeah.
now, they're suggestive, but nothing that's gonna kill you
Right,
and have you going home
right.
or walking out. I
Yeah.
don't like to do that. And they let us know when they book us, hey, Key, this is what your audience is. Make sure you're acclimated to that. And
I
you do
think
what
it's
you're supposed
harder
do.
to be funny or clean. I mean, a lot of comics use it as a shock value, and so I think it's good that you're active
Yeah,
like that.
I really I think that's very, very true.
Yeah.
Because you can always use an expletive to kind
Yeah.
of fix things, but the funny has to come from your
does.
your substance.
Yeah,
And if you watch
exactly.
the great Bill Cosby and a lot of even Richard Pryor was kind of known for cursing, but his characters cursed.
Yeah.
He didn't. He
Yeah.
was telling you a story and he was putting you there.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you know, so
Were those your role models as comics?
yeah, I'm a huge Bill Cosby fan. Carlin, I mean, I you know, even Chappelle. I mean, I'm a comedy fan. Period. Mitch Hedberg, who has since left us some years ago, but just an amazing comic and an observationist. He's the guy that said. The escalator is never broken; it's just temporarily stairs. You know, that the guy that has that mindset to think about
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
that are just, you know what I mean?
You know
like,
what?
We're running
I
out
know
of
that's
time.
hard to believe, but we are out of time.
Oh, my goodness.
You're going to be at the Canyon Crest Dining
Canyon
Event
Crest,
Center. When
yes.
is it?
8:30 tonight, 7:30 doors open. Come in, support the comedy, have a good time, bring everybody.
All right.
$10 in advance, $15 at the door.
door.
Tickets are available at CanyonCrestDining.com.
And I think we got some tickets to give away. So
we have 2 tickets to give away.
We'll
Each
probably have
station
to give
does.
those away at the end of the show.
We
No
will
problem.
be giving away. Best of luck.
Thank you.
I think you're going to be very funny.
Oh,
Yeah,
I know I'm
right.
going to be funny.
Exactly.
Kilos.com.
Way to
You
go.
guys check
we
me
have
out.
Twin Falls County Clerk Kristina Glasscock up next here on Top Story. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Last minute adjustments for our next guest. Twin Falls
been
County Clerk Kristina
crazy in
Glasscock.
here.
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. Yeah. We're just barely getting started, too. But at any rate, before we start talking about some of the issues in the county today, why not consider Certiset from Farmore of Idaho? This is not a new bed, okay? Because it does kind of sound like
Here
that.
I thought you were going to
Certiset.
start with gay marriage, and I'm like, wait, what? Because we were going to talk to her first. I didn't expect Certiset.
Yeah, well,
Anyway.
Certiset, no moving pipe, no borders. With a Certiset system, you can grow and harvest every square inch of your field. And nowadays, that's important. No more spraying borders around the field to keep it clear for the pipe. No more costly labor to move the pipe. Now, we're kind of winding down our irrigation season for this year, but there's next year. And this will give you a chance to find out about Certiset from Farmore of Idaho. They are the experts in this. Ask them about it. It's new technology stuff here. It's not the way that Grandpa used to water stuff, all right? So ask them about it, 324-3341 or at farmoreofidaho.com. Kristina Glasscock, Twin Falls County Clerk, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you guys?
Good.
Great.
We like to have you in at least once every 2 years.
At least.
Well, it's funny because I called her the day that gay marriage was legalized, and you answered the phone, you're like, our office is closed as a joke. And I almost forgot because we wanted you on the show for this. I'm like, yes. How's that
We've
going?
been issuing marriage licenses for about 10 minutes when you had called me, and I thought, are you wanting to talk about marriage licenses? Do you want to talk about elections?
We're like, both.
I said, okay, we're just closed.
How did that day happen? What was going on that day?
You know, we had people starting to show up around 8 o'clock and waiting for the 10 o'clock hour, and we issued 4 marriage licenses right after 10 o'clock, and then it pretty much died off after that. We issued 1 more that day, and then we had 1 yesterday. So
Oh, nice. So how have you changed the forms? Because I think they were pretty gender specific before, correct?
Yeah, the bride and groom, we still allow people to select whether they want bride and groom printed on them or not to have that printed on there. And that's about the only change, other than it had your maiden name if you were previously married, and we changed that to your birth name if you were previously married. So we can put it on either side of the license.
So would they have another choice between bride and groom, or would it be spouse and spouse, or what do you put? Nothing?
Right. It would just be blank at the top. It wouldn't say anything at the top.
Okay.
So those were the just minor changes that we made to the form. And most of them have been picking the one without the bride and groom at the top.
Yeah. Are they going to come up with a term, do you think? Or is it was just temporary because you didn't know if it was going to get approved yet or not?
Well, the State Board of Health actually approves the marriage license form.
Oh, they do?
And so we've been kind of waiting for direction from them, but I think it was one of those things that they only meet so often and they didn't want to touch it, make any changes until they absolutely had to. So it left us kind of just coming up with our own form. There's certain statutory language that has to be in the license, and that's there. We haven't changed any of the statutory language.
Anything other than that, it's kind of whatever, options, I guess.
Yeah. So it's and when they get to the Bureau of Vital Statistics is where we send them. I don't know how they're going to figure out, male, female, 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 male, male when they get to them, because they haven't given us any guidance either.
But one thing about it, that's not your problem, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Christina's like, I'm just going to forward you on now. Did you have any protests or anything's going on the day that it was legalized?
We didn't have anything.
Were you expecting that?
No, we did have people showing up. I think just to be part of the celebration. We did have a gentleman show up with the cake and some balloons to share with individuals. We had a couple officiants show up and volunteer to perform ceremonies. But
that's nice. So people got married right then, huh?
Yeah, the couple that we had actually issued their marriage license the week before, before we found out the stay came.
Yeah.
They came back down on Wednesday.
Oh, nice.
And were married just right there in the hall at County West. So they were the first ones to.
Well,
to
that's
get
kind of
married.
nice. You're always around marriages and stuff like that. Now we've got elections.
Right.
How's it going?
Well, we started early voting on Tuesday, and we had a couple hundred people at County West come in and vote. And
How many? A couple hundred?
Yes,
You said.
just-
Is that a
Really?
lot?
yeah,
So
for our
far?
first day, because your first day you always have those people that have been waiting for
Oh, yeah.
to be able to just come in and vote, and so that was really heavy that day. We've done what are we at? Well, we've done about 1,900 total between mail out and early voting.
Is that a lot so far for midterm?
We're about right on track for midterm
That seems like a lot.
Well, when in a
'Cause-
presidential general, we did almost 7,300 2 years ago.
But by this time.
Well, by the end,
I see.
we had
I
between
see.
in-person and
Yeah.
absentee mail-outs. But by law, we had to start mailing ballots out
Right.
on September 19th. So ballots have been out there for a long time
Yeah.
to get to the military and overseas, or anybody that's requested one, we had to have them out.
So how do you feel about that? Because I know there's some question about that in this upcoming election about mailing out ballots. Do you feel that there's a lot of fraud involved, or how do you feel about this process?
You know, I think it's great because it gives people the opportunity to vote if they don't know what they're going to be doing on election day, or if
Right.
they're out of the area. It's really makes it a convenience factor for them, for us to mail them a ballot or stop by and vote early. And we have their voter registration cards are all scanned in with their signatures, so we do a signature comparison to make sure that everything is matching up and they are who they are and they're registered at that exact address.
So if
we
it doesn't,
do-
does it kick it out and you can catch it?
Right. Uh-huh.
And then what do you do with it?
And then we call them and tell them that the signature does not match, and we make them come in and either re-register or take a look at the signature we received and see if it's somebody else that had
So there
signed
is
up.
a process in place that a
Yeah.
lot of people don't realize.
Have you ever had that happen when somebody else tried to vote for somebody?
No, we've never had that happen. We've had it where their signature has maybe changed over the years, or they signed one way, because they were registered 20, 30 years ago.
I mean, you can change. You could have like a stroke, or you could have a palsy or something.
Yeah, I
you
know my signature has changed because I have to sign my name a lot
Oh,
now.
yeah,
so
yeah.
it has really changed.
So you've been kicked out, is what you're saying? Who
Now
watches you?
That would be a story. 736-0300 is the number to call. Top story. You're on the air with Kristina Glasscock.
Good morning.
Good morning. I've got a question about the primary election. I was wondering how much the Republican Party pays the counties to have the Republican election every time that comes around. Since it's not an open election any longer, who pays for that, and how much does the Republicans pay for it?
Ooh, good
Interesting
question. And
Good
she's like,
question.
I'm on the hot seat now.
Yeah, we do not get any money from the from the parties to run those elections. So that is paid by Twin Falls County to do the primary election.
So even though it's closed, it's by the Republicans. Did you get a lot of complaints about that? That when people had to declare?
It is really confusing for voters, and it is confusing for me to try and train poll workers to understand closed primaries all around, and it does discourage people from even coming out to vote. So it has been a challenge.
Yeah.
It has.
Well, maybe over time, I know there's been talk of tweaking it and stuff, so, maybe we won't be doing it the same few years down the road that we are now. So,
She's like, yes, and
Yeah, I know.
pigs will fly.
I know. Well, and I know there's some things you can't comment on, because you're an elected official and you're supposed to uphold the law, whatever that might be.
I do what I'm told.
That's
but-
right. No, whatever you and well, then that's kind of the good thing about America and Idaho, and that your personal thoughts on stuff
Right.
do not enter it. It's whatever's law.
You have to,
Exactly.
you have to
And
do your
even
job.
down to issuing same-sex marriage licenses.
Yes.
I do what I have to do to uphold the
And that's
laws.
what they do,
Yeah,
right?
that's the law of the land. You have no other choice.
How long have you been in this position?
2003.
2003. Have you? What kind of changes have you seen? Or does it just pretty much stay the same?
As far as elections?
Yeah,
or...
election. Well, we know same-sex change, but
Yeah.
like elections.
Stuff's always changing with elections. Each legislative session, we never know what come out of there for elections and election consolidation, where now I do all the taxing districts elections. So that's been a huge huge change. We're doing elections pretty much year round now, where there's 4 election dates a year.
Yeah.
By the time we get one done, there's another one coming up. So there's been lots of change, voter ID, closed primaries.
Did you think go ahead.
Well, is the way we vote now, we had those old big voting machines for so long.
Mm-hmm. I know.
And everybody complained about them because I know it was like moving a refrigerator to get them
look
put
at how
in the
big
voting
she
places.
is.
Yeah, I know.
It's bigger than you are, Kristina.
Yeah, we don't have those machines anymore.
I know, but they seem so efficient.
Mm-hmm.
Did they and this was probably, I think they discontinued those before you came on board, but you are familiar with them.
Right. And when I came on board, we had some really old machines too, but they weren't those.
Oh, okay.
And so in 2010, we replaced our counting machines because we couldn't get parts anymore or service. We had to upgrade our counting machines. So we do have 2 nice size machines that we keep at County West, and all the ballots come back to County West and are counted there.
Oh, and it goes through, so you don't sit
scan.
there and have to count it by hand?
It reads both sides of the ballots as it feeds it through.
Okay.
Counts it.
Okay, so I guess my question is, has technology helped us, or were those old voting machines the best we ever had?
Technology has helped us in several different ways. There's still a lot of room for improvement with technology that's out there that just hasn't been available because our equipment has to be certified. And there's basically one vendor in Idaho that has all of the certifications. So we try and take advantage of technology.
What does that mean? What do you mean one vendor?
Any product that we use to either count votes, or any equipment that we purchase has to be certified through the Secretary of State's office. So up until just this year, there's only been one vendor for the state of Idaho to use, and now another vendor was just recently certified. And
could that ever cause some fraud in that sense? If it was like someone who had a political interest, and there was only one vendor who's certifying, could they ever mix with anything?
No, I don't think so. I think it just makes it to where we don't have competition in the market, and we're at their mercy.
Yeah, price-wise.
Exactly. That's what it is. Yeah.
How much does that vendor get? Do we know?
Well, the counting machines that we have now, they were, $50,000 a piece. And right now, if I were to upgrade, they've come out with a newer, greater, faster machine, it would be $100,000 a piece. So you can just see, in 4 years.
Yeah. But is that the same with both vendors? Do they kind of
I haven't looked
the same?
I haven't looked into the other vendor to see what their counting machines cost. So
okay,
interesting.
Probably it's really expensive.
Well, and it's such a specialized area that there's not going to be a lot of competition in that to begin with.
Right.
So.
And we have these, they're called auto marks that we have to have in the federal elections for the disabled voters to come in and be able to vote. But they're about a 100-pound machine, and we have to lug those out to the polling places. And so I'm hoping technology can come in and replace that with a tablet or something that I'm just afraid I'm going to break a poll worker's back or something because they are so big and clunky. But we got those after the Help America Vote Act and all that.
Oh yeah.
Well,
you just have to hire weightlifters.
Just to pump an iron, Kristina. The thing is, when I moved to Kimberly, because I'm from out east, but I was kind of surprised that you just had to connect an arrow. Do you know? Mm-hmm. That seemed like so odd and rudimentary to me. Are they still doing that? No. I forget, because I know I voted last time, but I think when did they change that?
When we went to the new machines in 2010, it's an oval now instead of the connect the arrow. So
did anyone have trouble connecting the two parts?
Oh yeah, and we saw people.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, we do, and we saw people have trouble seeing the ovals that we have now, and we get people marking all over the place. So
is that ballot still counted? Or is it kicked out where you have to look at it?
It's got to be with the oval, there has to be at least a dot in that oval for it to be counted. And if it's not right in the oval, then it won't count.
Is this like a hanging Chad situation? Like, what if they do? If
totally
they have
blank,
eyesight and they miss the oval, their vote does not count?
If it's blank, our machine will stop and kick it out, and then we can see if they had voter intent.
Can you then add the vote?
Correct.
So you can't. So you have to look at each one if they kick out.
Right.
Okay, this is interesting. So at least we know no fraud's happening here. Are we going to keep Kristina?
Yeah.
Is that okay? Do you have time?
Oh, yeah.
Do you want to hide out here in the studio?
You got nothing else to do, you know?
nothing else
come on.
Kristina's like, please let me hide in the studio till like November 5th.
Yeah.
We'll be right back with Twin Falls County Clerk Kristina Glasscock right after the news from the Fox Radio News Network. And welcome back to Top Story. 7360300 is always the number to call, and it's like 41 right now, Jill.
Ooh,
I looked at my thing this morning
when
I came in. It was 37 degrees.
You got cold last night.
Yeah, I think that's the coldest it's been so far this fall. So won't be long now.
I have no idea.
We'll get a frost one of these nights and wake up the next morning
wait.
and we can't get our doors open because the leaves will be blocking them all. All the leaves will just all fall at the same time.
I didn't quite make that leap, so yeah.
But if we get a wind...
Is it going to rain and then freeze us in? Or what were you, I didn't know where you were going with that.
But if we get a good wind comes up, then it blows all the leaves away over to the neighbors, and then I don't have to rake leaves, see?
This is what I have to deal with every day, Kristina. Yeah, the logic, I know. She just laughs, I know. You're so cute.
We have Twin Falls County Clerk Kristina Glasscock with us and answering questions about the elections coming up. And we had a phone call during the news break talking about voter fraud and your concern with voter fraud. And so I thought, that's a good question. What is the process for tracking down voter fraud? Do we have very much of it? And if we did, is it caught and prosecuted?
We don't have voter fraud in Twin Falls County. We are very careful with our procedures and verifying everything. A couple of years ago, it's been several years ago, we did have a gentleman that voted in Blaine County and in Twin Falls County in the same election, and we caught it, and that person was prosecuted. So we have.
Did he do it deliberately, or was he confused, or what?
I don't know. He pled guilty.
Oh, but he was prosecuted. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. And so we have procedures in place where, when we enter everybody that voted, and we're in a statewide system, so we can see if that person voted in another county, and then that's the red flag that, hey, they did vote.
So you really aren't concerned. I mean, you also said that they scan in signatures for the mail-in ballots, and that's a safeguard as well.
Right.
So are you wondering what the big hubbub about all this voter fraud is?
I am.
Because I'm
wondering. I think it's maybe from other states. I have no idea, but I don't think Idaho is one that we have a concern with voter fraud because we have good procedures in place.
Some people, and it's out in the current election that's going to happen, was mentioning maybe fingerprinting everyone. How do you feel about that? I'm sorry, because it's getting hot in here. Yeah. You're like, I didn't sign up for this. Let's go back to gay marriage.
Well,
can we go back?
Yeah, no. I think that may have got confused a little bit with there's new technology for electronic poll books. When a voter can come in, that poll book is there and they can just sign it electronically. It helps the poll workers. It's taking advantage of technology, so we're not trying to flip through the poll book to find the person's name. And I'm not sure if that came out of that when he was touring around the state, looking at what counties would like to see with technology, but nowhere have we ever the county clerks have ever wanted to fingerprint voters.
Yeah. I think that would be very difficult because you would have to get a registry to begin with to match it.
It reminded me of the lunch line at school where because they do fingerprint the kids for the lunch line at school. So that's kind of what I thought of when I heard of that. I thought, oh.
Well, okay, and I want to ask you another question, and this is kind of a futuristic type deal, but I don't know how many people saw Man of the Year with Robin Williams, but they had an online voting system. Everybody in the nation voted online. Do you foresee us doing that someday?
Not in my lifetime.
Not during your term.
That's when I quit. She's like, that's when I quit.
Several years ago, the county clerks tried to get a bill to go through to do vote by mail, and that didn't go anywhere. So
where it would only be vote by mail?
Correct. Like Washington and Oregon, where everybody you don't have a polling place. Everyone that's registered is just mailed.
And how does that work?
Essentially, everybody would be absentee ballot then.
Correct. And that didn't, because of voter fraud, they were thinking, you don't know who's going to vote that ballot when it gets mailed out, things like that. So,
so do you think we have a pretty good system? Are you happy with it? What changes would you ever want to see made?
I do think you get more voter participation when you do mail out ballots, and we are allowed to in certain situations, other than absentee. If you have a precinct that has less than 125 voters,
right,
you can declare that a mail ballot precinct. Well, I don't have any that small, but small counties have taken advantage of that, and it does show that you get better turnout.
Right.
With the voters. And as I talk to high school kids and college kids, they want everything emailed to them, text to them. They want to take advantage of the technology, and I think we're losing that generation in voting.
So they want to text in their vote. How do you feel about that one? With a happy face.
Yeah,
LOL.
It's not. Yeah.
Now, we talked about very briefly the absentee forms that are available online, and you were explaining how those work, and I was kind of surprised. I thought you just marked it for the one election that you were participating in at that time, but that's not the case.
Right. Those are good for one calendar year, so you can mark all 4 election dates, and if there happens to be an election that applies to you based on where your residence is, we will mail you a ballot automatically. So we just need a new form every year with those 4 boxes checked, and if there's an election, you'll get a ballot in the mail.
Is it too late to do absentee for this election? What's the deadline?
No, October 29th is the last day to request a ballot to be mailed out, and those have to be back by 8 p.m. on November 4th to the clerk's office.
And what about early voting?
October 31st, which is 2 weeks from today, 5 p.m. is the last time you can come into County West and vote in person.
Okay, I'm going to vote early.
Yeah, I'm going to vote absentee, I think, which I have done in several of the past elections.
It's because Kelly's such a huge celebrity that he just, if he goes out in public,
right.
So many people, although you might help voter surge. If Kelly goes out to vote, people will just follow. You could help the voter participation. What do you think, Christine?
Yeah, we can go live. Come on.
Yeah, right.
we could watch Kelly vote. This is why. No one knows that, but this is really the true reason is why Kelly always does absentee.
Actually, the true reason is I'm
worried
really
about the
a
crowds.
hermit.
I know. When you retire, I'll never see you again. But anyway, which I'm sure is the part of the plan.
That's fine. It's your choice, and it's a convenience factor. So.
But also, if someone is sick, if someone has a surgery, I mean, it's really invaluable for people who can't make it to the polls. Say you can't drive any longer, and a lot of seniors. I mean, they voted their entire life, every election. And you can no longer drive. You don't have anyone to take you. It's a big deal.
It is, and those people still want to vote.
They do. Very active. So, and what forms of ID do you have to have now? Because some people say, "Oh, what's the big deal?" But like, say you don't drive. We say you are elderly and you don't have a form of ID. What do you take at the ballot?
When you go to the polls to vote, if you don't have a driver's license, there's few things that you have to have for photo ID that work. If you don't have a driver's license, there's an affidavit you sign saying that this is who I am, and you're able to vote.
And what do you do with those?
The affidavits, we keep those with the poll books.
So do you check, and is there another system in case it could be a different person, or how do you know that is the person?
They're swearing under oath that that's them, so unless somebody challenges that.
Okay.
But we haven't had any issues with that.
Yeah.
With them showing their ID. Most people have it out and ready to go.
Yeah.
And do you take any form of ID?
Can't you get a state issued ID?
Right. They can get if they don't have a driver's license, they can get a state issued ID, and that's one of the proofs with a driver's license, a passport.
Does that cost anything, the state issued ID?
Yeah, there is a fee for that. It's a small fee.
Yeah, I know, because some people kind of view it as a poll tax, I mean, that's what's happening in other states, so it's kind of interesting. But anyway, would a student ID work?
They're whiners.
Yeah. Yeah, student ID will work too.
Okay, great.
So basically anything with a picture ID then.
Well, there's only 4 things.
Other than the affidavit, yeah.
Right, and sign the affidavit. But to register to vote, if you're just registering, you use any photo ID to register to vote.
So now
it's
some people are confused because the Republican Party, or the primary was closed only to Republicans. So now people are confused, like, do I have to, declare a party? Can I vote for either party? What's the answer on this one?
In the general
election.
Right. In the general election, you'll see every party that's running on the ballot, and everybody will see the same candidates. So you can vote any party on the general election ballot.
So you don't have to declare. You can just vote anything. And I think that was part of the issue. People didn't want to declare.
Right. If you register, you still need to do a party affiliation to register, but it won't apply for this election. It'll apply for the primary in 16.
For the primary. Okay.
Now, in case people are curious as to who is running, because a lot of people pay no attention to the ads and things like that, and a lot
It's
of people,
amazing to me.
A lot of people don't know who's running until they actually go to vote.
Right.
Yeah, and then they make their decision right there and then, which can be dangerous.
And don't they ask you, like, what's this, what's that? Do they put you in that position?
Sometimes they do, but most of the time they don't ask.
Because we do have a constitutional issue on the ballot.
Right. And that was mailed to every residence in Idaho, got an Idaho voter pamphlet in their mail that gave them a statement for and against. And
when was that mailed? I don't even remember seeing it.
I don't think we've gotten ours yet.
I haven't gotten mine either.
It's supposed to be this week, I think.
I think that's mail fraud. No.
It might be. Jill, would you look into that?
Breaking news here, people. What is going on with the county clerk's offices?
Well, these came out from the Secretary of State.
Okay, finally.
Nothing
So,
to do with it.
all right. So
we
now
have a
we
link
know.
on our website to that pamphlet, and we have extra ones at County West.
When were they supposed to be out?
I think I got mine about a week ago.
Was it because you work for them, or what? What's the deal?
Maybe we got it.
I don't remember getting ours.
Maybe we got it, and my wife took it and hid it or something.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what. Or maybe Mabel chewed it up.
It's like, it's like the homework thing. The dog ate it.
Yeah. Which
Mabel.
With Mabel could very well have happened. So there's no excuse with all the avenues available. There's no excuse for people not knowing who's running on what party. Even the constitutional amendment. I know when you go in to vote, there's a little summary of if it passes, here's what it'll do. If it doesn't pass, here's what it'll do. It seems like we make it fairly easy for folks to vote and understand what they're voting for.
It is. It's really easy. And we have the sample ballots also out on our website. So if people wanted to take a look at what's on the ballot, most people probably don't know that there's this many candidates for governor until you get get your ballot. And you're
Where's
thinking,
Harley Brown?
Yeah.
Christina, what's your website?
TwinFallsCounty.org. Go to election information. Everything's right there.
Okay. Or you can just Google it. Twin Falls County election information will probably take you there too.
One quick question. Some of these people are unopposed. So some people might think, do I have to fill in the oval?
That's up to the voter. Any contest that they don't feel comfortable voting, they can leave it blank, and we will just count the contests that they actually vote in.
So say no one ever got a vote. Like say you run by yourself and say no one, would they still be elected?
No.
Oh.
Really? So they got 0 votes.
So they have to have at least one vote.
So please vote for me. No.
yeah, you're on the ballot. That's right. And you're unopposed because no one wants this job. No, I'm kidding. And again, election day, and what are the hours?
November 4th is a Tuesday from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Okay, great. Well, we appreciate all you do. You're always a delight and always fun to deal with.
Yeah.
And
you can come back in anytime.
Anytime.
All right.
I'm going to vote early. I might vote today. I'll see you down there.
I'm gonna fill out my absentee form. And I'm gonna send
because
that
the
in.
crowds and the paparazzi.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
You can't handle the media.
I'll take it with me. You can fill it out right now.
Bless your heart.
I'll get you covered.
Bless your heart. See there, personal
voter fraud.
Signature recognition.
Yeah.
She'll witness me signing it. Twin Falls County Clerk Kristina Glasscock. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time. 7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Welcome back. Today's 17th.
17th.
Yesterday's, the word of the day is brought to you by
I had that down, yeah.
Happy Landing Restaurant.
Happy Landing Restaurant.
Now, if you are a first-time visitor at the Happy Landing Restaurant at the Twin Falls Airport and you buy a coffee or a drink of some sort, and you're a first-time visitor and you tell them you heard it right here,
really?
Then you'll get a free piece of pie.
Is that right?
That is
Was
right.
that called the KLIXcast special?
Yeah, could be.
Since you go out to lunch there about every week.
Absolutely.
That
So
sounds
do
like
that.
a KLIXcast special.
Try it. They have great food. So
Tell
I
them
eat
we
there all the
sent
time. And if it's good enough for me, hey, it's good enough for anybody, I would think,
Okay. Anyway. I think your standards are a little...
What an endorsement.
A low bar. Okay, anyway.
No, it's a fun place.
No, it's
great
good.
Food, great people.
The joke was more about what Kelly eats. But anyway.
So anyway, now that we have that, Yesterday's $100 instant winning name is Michael Wiggs.
Michael Wiggs, congratulations.
And your $100 word of the day for today is candy.
Candy.
C-A-N-D-Y.
Candy.
C-A-N-D-Y.
Halloween's coming up.
And you can go to our website, newsradio1310.com, type in candy, C-A-N-D-Y, and listen Monday. If you hear your name Monday and you played the word today, you win $100.
So easy it is.
That's like that. We have Sandy March with us. She's from the Twin Falls Rotary After Hours Club.
That's right.
Right? Did I get that right?
You got it right.
All right. Very good.
So, Sandy, you have a fundraiser coming up. This is the first time you're doing it.
Absolutely.
Sounds like fun. What is it?
Yes, we're doing a Twin Falls historical cemetery tour. So it'll be at the Twin Falls Cemetery, obviously.
Okay.
The idea behind it is I'd actually had attended one in California. And it was really fun. I thought my friend was crazy when he said, I have tickets for a cemetery tour. So I said, okay. But we went, and it's really nice. And
how does it work?
We're mimicking it. It's actually guided walking tour. So people need to wear comfortable shoes. And a guide will take you through the cemetery, and you'll visit these different, what we say, quote unquote, stages. And there'll be historical figures that are buried there. They're going to tell their stories.
And they're from like a Twin Falls area, like famous historical.
Yep, they're the people that developed and made Twin Falls what it is today.
I'll be darned. That sounds interesting.
Kelly, too bad you're not in the cemetery yet.
Yeah, well,
you could have been.
Hey, maybe next
year. You could have been a stop.
Oh my goodness.
The last stop for Kelly.
So
Sorry.
Who are some of the historical figures?
Yeah. Some of the figures are, obviously we have Ivy Prine, even though he's not buried there. Him and his daughter will be talking a little bit there. But we have Clarence Bisbee and his wife will be there. And
guy took all the pictures.
He took all those.
We have a Bisbee photo up on the wall
Beautiful,
right now.
The Twin Falls one, yes. I have one too. They're just gorgeous. And we also have the McCullums, Mr. and Mrs. McCullum, who housed the Homeless 20. They had the first stick home, which was it's Ann's Eyewear now. I
have no idea that story. What the Homeless 20? What's the Homeless 20?
Oh, the Homeless 20 are 20 of the men that were here serving the town, building the town, making it what the financiers. So Bickle is in there, Hayes, Ivy Prime was obviously there, and they made their home open. She did. She made her home open and fed them and let them,
And that's the house where Ann's Eyewear is now.
Yeah, Ann's Eyewear is there
I did not know that.
See, you learn something new every day,
Interesting
Kelly.
stuff.
See, if you come to the cemetery tour, you'll learn
find
that. You'll find those things out.
You don't want to give them all away here, do you?
That's right. That's right. But
who else do you
that's
have?
a really neat story because they absolutely loved her, actually, and there's a nice memorial to her from them there. We also have we're going to be talking about the influenza epidemic that occurred in the early 1900s, which will be sort of a sad story, but it's very informational. We also have Diamondfield Jack will be there.
So he's buried in the Twin Falls?
He actually is not either.
Okay.
But we've got the Walgamot family that does have some family there, and it's going to be Walgamot, Diamondfield Jack, and Bill Dowd that was shot by Walgamot over a little argument. They'll be having a discussion.
So, Sandy, what are the times? Because we're about to run out of time. And how long is a tour? How long can it take?
A tour is an hour.
It's an hour.
It's an hour. So plan on an hour. It's going to be from 1 to 5 tomorrow.
On Saturday,
on Saturday at the cemetery, and where we're parking's at the Twin Falls Cinema, as well as at the Bowlodrome. Both of them have allowed us to park there, so you guys can park there. And the tour actually starts on the south side of the cinema as well. So come get your tickets there if you haven't.
And how much is it?
Tickets are $8 for an adult, $5 for a child. They can be purchased at the event or at the Chamber of Commerce.
And you said they were every 15 minutes. I remember hearing that the other day. What does that mean?
What that means is, like, if you're planning on coming about 2 o'clock, you might be waiting for a few minutes for the 2 o'clock show to start, because we'll be, like I said, they're guided tours. And there's going to be 3 tours going at the same time.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, okay.
So that we can kind of keep it controlled. It's a very controlled environment, so that people aren't kind of walking around and getting lost.
Right,
in there.
yeah.
And we also, by the way, have Halloween baggies for the kids with tricks and treats.
Nice.
Every kid
right,
comes,
very cool. So this is an educational tour then?
It's educational. It's meant to be educational and fun.
And the money goes, where does the money go?
And the money goes to local charities here in Twin Falls.
Which is always the best part with Rotary.
That's right. Our Rotary
That's why we do Rotary.
Is there a number they can call for more information?
They can definitely call me, 320-1515.
320-1515.
That's it.
Doesn't get any easier than that.
Well, Sandy, we wish you the best of luck,
Sounds
and
like fun.
hopefully I'm going to try to make it.
Awesome.
I have a few conflicts tomorrow, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, we have 1 to 5.
She's a pretty busy lady. But
yeah, you know.
That Jill.
Right.
She is.
You know.
Appreciate
Thank you, guys.
Good luck.
Best of luck, Sandy.
Bye-bye.
7360300 is the number to call here this morning on Top Story. Dave Hansen and the crew at the Canyon Pawn, the newest pawn shop in town, wants you to stop by.
That's right.
And I know we talk about it every day, say pretty much the same thing, but the inventory changes all the time at a pawn shop. And being the newest and the newest pawn shop in town, you know that the inventory is going to change. When I was in there, they even had new stuff still in boxes on the shelves. They've got guns. They've got woodworking stuff. They got fishing poles. It's a pawn shop. They got lots and lots of different stuff. And you go in there today, and it'll be a certain amount of stuff, certain type of stuff. You go in tomorrow, it'll be different. That's the nature of a pawn shop.
That's how it works.
So I would stop by and see it. It's always fun. I mean, it's one thing to go to a store, and you walk through, what you're after, but a pawn shop is kind of
you never know,
like a museum.
You never know what you're gonna get.
And only with this museum, you can buy the stuff, So check them out. They're on Shoshone Street, right across from Will's Toyota, at 3rd Avenue South and Shoshone Street, and they'd like to have you stop by and say hi.
We would like to. We need to schedule a time and just do it.
I know. We say that every day, too, and we just haven't done it yet.
It's just been very busy.
We just got so many things going on.
So busy.
I know. And
We're so busy.
Now I have to sign back in.
Kelly's always so busy. He can hardly do the show.
I know. I'm so busy with the show, I just can't hardly do it. But at any rate, back to the Ebola thing.
And by the way, it is Open Mind Friday.
Yes.
736-0300.
See, I forgot that.
I just told you that.
I know you just told me, but I'm getting
Wait, when are you retiring again?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll start looking forward to December 31st. It's like doing the show with my grandfather. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, the Ebola thing. We were talking about this morning before the show. Hysteria.
If you look at it, I think it is turning out to be hysteria because if you look at it this way, Mr. Duncan, God rest his soul, 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago or something like that, came to the United States. Mm-hmm. There have been a total of 2 people come down with it in the United States.
In the U.S.
In the U.S., right.
2
as
or 3
a result
have
of Mr.
come
Duncan.
From the 2 doctor, the nurse, and the news reporter came here to be treated.
Right.
I think that's 5, maybe 6 cases. I don't know.
Yes. And I would think if this were going to be a serious epidemic, that we would be seeing more people come down with this. And I watch every afternoon and evening on the TV, and these doctors there are saying, even if you sit in somebody's seat on an airplane who has it after they get up, your chances of getting it are very, very low.
I mean, unless there's like blood or diarrhea or a puddle of something that you touch. I heard in Ohio they are closing schools. 2 have closed.
Yeah.
Because a kid flew on the same plane with her.
With the latest one to come down with it. And believe me, I understand people's concerns.
Yeah.
And I'm just as concerned as anybody is.
But why are they creating this out-and-out fear?
Look back a few years when with the AIDS situation, and that seemed like was spreading a lot faster than this is. But it was the type of deal where you don't shake their hands, you don't get in the same room with them. It was the same type of deal. And then once we finally figured out what was all about, it's not that way anymore.
They didn't educate people and just pretty much said, well, it's a gay disease. And but here I think it's turning into absolute panic. I heard that hazmat suits are selling like crazy on the websites, and as people talk and create this, you have to wonder. Okay, are you doing everyone a service here or a disservice?
I think we're overreacting just a bit.
I think
we still should be concerned. Don't get me wrong, and I think the CDC still needs to straighten up and provide these workers with the proper clothing and stuff. But I think we need to pull back a little bit on the panic. 736-0300, top story. You're on the air. Good morning.
Yes, this is Open Line.
Yep, go ahead.
Can I talk about a subject that was discussed a little earlier?
You certainly can.
Let it rip.
Okay, I want to talk about the fact that Idaho has a ban on gay marriage that was overturned by some federal judges.
Okay.
And I want to say this in all kindness to those who are involved in gay marriage. but there is a judge that's keeping record, and one of these days, he hasn't changed his mind at all. We're going to stand before him, and he's very clearly revealed what his position is on gay marriage in his word. And I just want to remind folks that one of these days we're going to stand before Almighty God, and he's still against gay marriage, and he's for the family.
Well, that's your opinion, and you're entitled to it, and
I
there
have
you
to
go.
say, I'm with you.
That is not my opinion.
That is mine.
God created all of us.
Marriage
and,
is between a man and a woman. I agree.
Then
He created everybody.
Then I'm glad
but he
you
also
married
set down
Connie.
some certain rules that marriage is between a man and a woman, and man can't change that.
This is not a choice.
Man can't change that.
These people are born this way.
I don't care if it's discrimination or what.
God
You can't
created
change that.
it.
If you want to change that, you're going to have to talk to God.
Then change all the
Anyway,
laws.
We'll be
then
back.
Change all the laws.
We'll be back right after this. 736-0300 is the number to call this morning on Top Story. Back to our Ebola thing.
Ebola. It's not airborne.
I think, right, it's not.
People
and that's
are
what's saving us from it, I
crazy
think.
that it's airborne. It's not airborne, and the conditions in those African countries, if you look, they're literally laying on the floor or on the ground on a dirt floor.
Yeah.
They don't have the facilities. They don't know what to do with the bodies because the bodies still have this virus.
Well,
and
I'm not sure CDC knows what to do with it either.
Burn them, and that's what
yeah.
they did. They cremated Mr.
Yeah.
Duncan. But the nurse in now I hadn't heard this, but I heard this, so I don't know if it's true or not. But the nurse who came down with it in Texas, her little dog Benji is being quarantined.
Yeah, that's another question.
Because
Can animals transfer it? Well, that's a good question with her wet little
poor
nose,
did you see little Benji? I felt so badly for him. He's in his little cage. I'm like, oh my gosh. He doesn't know who his mommy
and
is.
it's a cute
No one
little
can pet
doggy.
him. He's quarantined.
Yeah, poor thing.
I know. He's so cute.
But you and Cheryl Becker, the public health nurse, was here about a week ago and mentioned something about the enterovirus.
Yeah.
Maybe we should be a little more concerned about because.
Yeah.
Read that.
Well, now they say how many? Now they say 14 kids have died from the enterovirus, and that many more will be disabled or paralyzed. I think they said there were 35 patients in California that have some kind of paralysis. That's just California, not to mention the other states. So, I mean, this thing is spreading. This thing spreads so quickly right across the country.
And that does spread through the air.
And this is killing kids. It's paralyzing them.
And we're not panicking about that one.
No, Ebola, okay, you do have to do contact stuff and quarantine them, but I also think if people had common sense like the nurse, instead of calling the CDC, self-quarantine yourself. You're around an Ebola patient, your colleague has it. That's the disconnect that I can't take.
736-0300, Top Story, you're on the air. Good morning.
I kind of agree with basically what you're saying. The swine flu has been proven to be a scam. The bird flu proved to be a scam. H1N1 a couple of years ago proved to be a scam. And now Ebola makes you wonder.
It does, I know.
Well, I don't know if it's a scam. They're dying in those countries.
If you look at the just the regular flu, the influenza, doesn't it take like 3,000 or 4,000 of us every year?
Yeah.
Every year.
A lot.
And nobody's panicking about that.
But it sounds scarier, because it's isolated. It's in Africa, but the panic is so bad. Some colleges are not admitting students from Nigeria into this country in their schools.
I saw that.
I mean, we are taking
I think it's one.
Beyond. You're closing schools in Ohio because someone flew in the same plane. It's not like the fluids are on in this school.
Yeah. And you see doctor after doctor out there saying, look, this can't be spread that easily. And yet we're still panicking, I guess. 736-0300, Top Story, you're on the air.
Yes, this is a little bit different. It's open line. So Jill was talking the other day about, about the bicycles on the road. And I got a couple things. Maybe next time you talk to the police, like out here in Washington, you got the bike lane.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we got cars that will not stop behind another car that's turning. So they'll pull over in the bike lane. I've almost seen 2 or 3 bicyclists hit. And because they will not stop and wait for the car to turn.
Yeah.
I've called and talked to the police about it, but nothing's happened. That is illegal. And the other thing is the people driving without their lights on around here.
Yeah.
I have never seen that before, and I can
You
count
mean at night?
At night, I've almost hit 2 cars turning in front of me with no lights on.
I was almost
Well, if
hit
you hit
so
them, it'll be their
badly.
fault. So if
And
that's any consolation.
You can count at least 6 cars a night. That's an average.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm
that's
concerned. We
amazing.
are not as bike friendly as we should be, and people don't. And we had a couple of them killed a few years ago. Remember?
Yes. I have to say this too, and actually that would be a good question for the cops. But when you do see the bike lanes that are wide enough for a car, like we have a perfect example here on Park Avenue down here where it turns on Harrison, you have the main lanes, and then you got the white line, and then you got this big wide bicycle lane. Well, people use that as a turning lane.
Yeah.
And I don't think you can do that.
We're not very bike savvy here.
We're not.
But now,
Same up in front of Swenson's on South Washington there.
Take off the bike lanes. You're on Sugar Factory Road or 3300, and you're expecting a lot of your employees to bike to work. Good luck. Just put a little target on their back. I'm just saying, I don't think our roads are made for this. And even when you have bike lanes, they're getting hit. So who knows?
Let's try to get a couple of more calls. Top story, you're on the air.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. I just wanted to comment on the Ebola and why there's more of a reaction about it. Yeah, 3,000 people might die per year from the flu, but how many people contract the flu? Yeah, this enterovirus has killed, I don't know how many people, paralyzed some others, but there's been a much higher number of people that have contracted it and came out of it fine. Most of the time when somebody dies from the flu, it's because there's other complications. They're either
that's a good point.
Extremely old, low immune systems, or they have some sort of respiratory disease.
But don't you think we're starting to panic a little too much about the Ebola thing?
No, I don't.
Really?
Well, I mean, we want to avoid panic, but I think where the outrage is coming from, for the most part, is the fact that we are still letting people from West Africa fly into America. I mean,
yeah, that's been quite controversial. I know.
I mean, it's ridiculous. They're checking for fevers, but somebody can contract Ebola, and in 20 days time between they contracted and coming to America, they can fly to America without a fever.
Got to turn you loose because we got the Huckabee Report. Thanks for the call. It's Huckabee brought to you by Waddell & Reed. You can hear the Huckabee Report each weekday at this time, brought to you exclusively by Waddell & Reed. Laura Nelson, Josh Funk, and Steve Stanger are the financial advisors, and the number is 736-6563. Haven't talked about Clearwater Power Equipment yet. Want to do that, too, because it's chainsaw and leaf blower season. Now, why should you buy something like this from Clearwater Power Equipment rather than some X brand from some big box store or something? It's because, first of all, when you're talking to people at Clearwater Power Equipment, this is all they deal in. They are experts in this. They don't have to be experts in over 1 million different products. They are experts in what they deal in. The Echo chainsaws and the Echo leaf blowers and the Husqvarna products. They have parts, they have service, they have sales. And those are the ones you want to talk to. Not somebody when you ask them a question, they look at you like you have two heads. Oh, yeah, I could tell you about the size of the 2x4, but I can't tell you about the chainsaw. All right. So anyway, stop by Clearwater Power Equipment, now in Twin Falls, 252 Washington Street, 734-7767, there where General Building Supply used to be. Stop in and ask them about their lawnmower storage, winter storage.
That's right.
Yep.
Hey, so I went to the Main Street Avenue or the main redesign thing.
Oh, the meeting last night. The Main Street redesign.
Main Street redesign. Very interesting. I guess they're going to come back in January. You had to put little dots down on different designs, but you can go to, they're going to have a website, twinfallsmainavenue.com, that you'll be able to give some input.
Oh, cool.
So when I get more of that information, we might have those people on the air to talk about.
Did you talk to them about that?
I did.
Oh, very cool.
I did. I gave them my cards, and they were very excited. And so it's good to be involved. You have to be involved, and also to be involved in the City Facilities Committee for the new City Hall.
Oh,
so
yeah.
That starts next week or whatever. And I do have to say, there was some breaking news I found out yesterday that Bart Bingham is no longer the economic development guy. I'm not sure if that's the exact title of his position, is no longer with Kimberly City. He was terminated about a month ago.
Oh.
And no one has heard about this.
Really?
And I found this out from a member of the P&Z who had no idea why he was terminated. No one's talking about it. He's gone. So breaking news, Bart Bingham is no longer with the city of Kimberly. And that's...
More secrets. More secrets. I don't know. I don't get it.
They're paid by taxpayer dollars. Don't you think they should know? Notify who's following up with Bart? What's happening? We actually have a issue in our neighborhood that Bart was spearheading that's going to go to court October 27th. No one. What happened to Bart?
Oh, I don't know, Jill.
I don't know. Questions. More questions.
Well, we're out of time now, so unfortunately we can't talk about it anymore.
Breaking news. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, everybody, have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday. Goodbye, Jill.
Bye, Cal.